Whatever rocks your socks, whatever spins your top, whatever winds your watch, whatever flips your flop, whatever turns you on, whatever flies your flag, whatever bangs your gong, or whatever swings your bag. Do it often, but do it well, 'cause nobody knows and there's no way to tell. When the ride ends,
good morning. Welcome back to Turtle Beach. How was your week? My week was great, thank you. All weeks are great on Turtle Beach. It had a few ups and downs at the moment. I'm sure you can't hear it, but the ground squirrels, with the change of seasons, the ground squirrels have moved back into my ceiling. They were here when I got here, and I said to the landlord, you know, there's something living in my ceiling. And his response was, "Dinga, really?" And that was it. So I just live with them. You can hear them gnawing at the timbers or whatever they're gnawing at. And then a cat showed up in the neighborhood, and I heard the cat chasing them around up there, and they disappeared, and so did the cat. And now they're back, and I assume within a week or two, that cat will be back, or some other cat will be back. I mentioned last week that we had a very strange phenom in the village. Big, tall woman with a bunch of piercings in her face. A more than average number of metal piercings in her face. And people were worried about her because of her behavior, and then she kind of disappeared. She was here for a couple days and disappeared. I expected somebody in my massive audience of many thousands would have said, yeah, we saw that woman on Phuket last week, or we saw that woman in Chiang Mai last month. Boy, yeah, but nobody did. And this is a very distinctive woman. There's nobody who looks like her. Big, tall woman, 6 feet tall, long hair, white woman, willowy, thin, quiet, and sporting a lot of hardware, like a whole hardware store in her face. But no, nobody has mentioned seeing this woman. She came and went like a specter. Among other things that happened, I'm facing a dilemma. You know, I make this art out of beach trash. Art. Yeah, we've had that conversation. Let's not go there again. I make decor out of beach trash. I go every day on the beach and pick up trash. And I give them away, the things I make, mostly turtles, big turtles and sea turtles. And the people in the neighborhood have seen what I'm doing, and they've started bringing me trash, particularly a couple of the coffee shops and restaurants. I walk by every evening. I walk up and down the beach at 7 o'clock at night, roughly, and just see what's going on the beach, see which restaurants have guests, which don't, which are open, which are not, this, that, and the other thing. It's just something to do after dinner. And the restaurants have started collecting water bottle caps, because I make stuff out of these plastic water bottle caps. Typically, it's the most common trash on the beach. Well, now they're giving me big bags of hundreds of water bottle caps. And it's great because they're clean. I don't have to wash them. I have to wash everything that comes off the beach. These caps I don't have to wash. But that's not the brief of the project, is it? The project is making arts and crafts out of trash found on the beach. And this stuff is not, it's trash, but it's not found by Steve on the beach, and it doesn't seem legit to use it. I'm keeping it. In this culture, if someone offers you something, you take it, even if you don't want it. You take it. In this culture, you take it. And with it comes an obligation. That's why everywhere you go, everybody wants to hand you something. Everybody wants to give you a little something, right? Because an obligation comes with that. You can't refuse it. Ging Kao De Yang, have you eaten yet? If you say no, they're obligated to give you food, whoever it is. So you always say, yeah, get loud. Oh, in that, somebody took me to task for the way I interacted with Kunram, the 70-year-old fisherman, excuse me, who interrupted my filming last week. He didn't interrupt it because I don't turn this. I do this all in one take because I'm lazy and because I can. And Ram is this old guy on the beach, and like everybody, he wants to, suck up to me and be my friend because I am Falang, and there are precious few Falang on this beach. And the other Falang never leave their houses for the most part. He came, and I said, he came and kneeled next to me, and I've got severe social anxiety disorder. I don't like people looming over me or just being in close proximity to me. I don't like physical nearness. So I was a little thrown, and I said, Tot Kap Steve Thai video you Kap. I'm making a video. And he went, and I said, Ko Tot Kap Steve Thai video you Kap Kui Madai. He stayed there, right? Well, some guy wrote in and said he didn't understand you because your tones are all wrong. No, my tones are fine. I have a thick Southern accent. In Thai, I sound like Jethro Clampett, Jethro Bodine, Gomer Pyle, any Southern U.S. Senator. I have a very thick Southern accent. I don't strictly speak Lang Thai, but I did a video on Lang Thai early on in this channel, and I might do my first rerun. If I can find that, I might tack that on the end. My spoken Thai is very Southern accented. Maybe that's what this viewer was commenting on. But certainly, I talk to Ram every day. He understands me. I'm shooting a video right now. It's a very easy sentence. Steve Thai video, you cop. That's it. I mean, anybody can understand that. I might tack that on the end, my very first rerun. And that, I think, is all I want to say until I'm going to read this week. I'm going to read a story from Expat Days because that is the only one of my books that I have a copy of. I wanted to say thank you for all the positive comments, and I think I may say this every week. I get a lot of comments, and I tend to fire back at the trolls and simply click a heart on the nice comments, the friendly comments, the kind comments, the generous comments, the intelligent comments, the articulate comments, the erudite comments. I read them, I smile, my ego is stroked, and I move on. And for some reason, I am compelled to pay attention to and spend time replying to the haters. And I am trying to wean myself off of that. Know that if you make a nice comment or any kind of comment, I do read it and I do appreciate it. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your comments. But there's so many comments now that I just cannot reply to all of them. But I want you to know I very much appreciate it. All right, so a man named, I guess the notable thing this week was the death of Colin Hastings. Colin was a publisher and editor in Bangkok for many years. And back in about 93 to 97, Colin was editing a magazine in Bangkok called Thailand Tatler, a high-so pudi lifestyle magazine. And it was a pretty interesting magazine, if you like that sort of thing. Well-produced, slick, glossy, professional. And the sting in that magazine was called This Land of Smiles. And it was supposed to be a humorous 1,500-word first-person essay, like magazines were in those days. And he contacted me. He had read me in The Nation. He said, I'm having trouble filling this space. Do you want to take it over? Do you want to be a regular columnist in this magazine? I said, sure. So everything was done by fax in those days, right? This is the 90s. So I faxed him 6 stories, 6 essays I had in my desk drawer that were for the nation, but I was churning out essays and stories in those days like a machine, and I had a lot of extras. And I was very happy to sell him 6 of my extras. And he published them and he paid me. He was always very businesslike, always very good about paying me. But we had a conversation over the 6 or 8 months it took for all of these stories to appear, all of these essays to appear in his magazine. And somehow during those 6 or 8 months, I said something via fax that pissed Colin off, and he never asked for any more stories. Yeah, we all saw that coming, didn't we? And that was it. Never met the man in person. Never spent any time with him at all in person. I avoided Bangkok in those days just like I do now. Hate Bangkok. I hate anything that's not this beach, but I particularly hate a big, dirty, expensive, crowded, traffic congested, hot, sticky city. If I could afford it, I would love to visit New York City one more time before I die, but I don't need any other cities in my life. I don't need to go to Bangkok, so I never went. So I come back and somehow, I don't remember how it happened, maybe it was at Dean Barrett's 80th birthday party. At some point I was in Bangkok and met Colin Hastings for the first time. And he was a nice enough guy, and it was some sort of social event at a bar at the Freeze Green Club, I think. And we became Facebook friends. You see what's coming? Yeah, 30 years later, within a week, 2 weeks, one of us unfriended the other. I don't remember who unfriended the other, but Colin was a very wealthy guy and had been wealthy his whole life, and his politics reflected that. Colin was very far to the right of me. I am left of Lenin, and we didn't get along as Facebook friends, and once again, but he did reach out to me about, 6 or 8 months ago, and he did a profile of me in Big Chili magazine. I should have mentioned that. That's what Colin was doing here at the end of his life. He was editing Big Chili magazine, and just keeping a print magazine alive these days is a Herculean task. And he did it very well, and still very high, connected with the Pudi, very much in high so. And I respected him for that. I respected him for being able to keep a print magazine alive. And he very kindly not only ran a profile of Steve Rosse in his magazine, he let me write the profile. He said this was the first time that anybody profiled in that magazine, and that's a 30-year-old magazine, anybody has ever written their own profile in the first person. But he allowed me to do that because that's my shizzle, right? Memoir is my shizzle. So that was it. We didn't talk on Facebook after that, and I don't know if anybody read my profile. But now Colin has died in an unexpected car accident. I suppose there are no expected car accidents. And everybody in Bangkok has been tripping over themselves to write a nice obituary for the guy. He was well loved, he was well liked, and very gregarious, outgoing, handsome devil, fit, athletic, and like I said, very high so. And kind of the opposite of Steve Rosse, sort of the the Black Mirror version of Steve Rosse. And I just wanted to do something to mark his passing, so I'm going to read you one of the stories I sold to Colin in the 90s. This is a week that I would read a story. I better get to it. I've wasted a lot of your time. This story is called Raging Bull. It first appeared in Thailand Tatler magazine, purchased by the editor, Colin Hastings, in the mid-90s. It's 1,500 words, going to take about 3-4 minutes. I'm going to take off my glasses to read it. Don't be thrown by that. In fact, you don't really have to look at, this Do something with your hands, knit, crochet, make a styrofoam turtle, and just listen. Call it a podcast, all right? Raging Bull by Steve Rosse. It's a pun. My friend Barry invited me to go to the fights with him tonight. I told him that I had to go to the funeral of a close friend instead. And since I hate to lie, now I have to go find a close friend and kill him. Barry is a big enthusiast of Thai boxing, a sport that, to my mind, combines the worst attributes of a prayer meeting and a riot. If you've never attended a Thai boxing match, let me first congratulate you and then fill you in on what you've missed. First, you sit down in a crowded arena that's hot enough to grow orchids and smells like old socks. You're jammed in with about 1,000 of the worst characters in the province, all of whom had had their personalities modified for the evening by whiskey and bloodlust. There is a dress code. Every spectator must wear clothing that he slept in for at least 3 nights. Your ticket will bear the number of a seat in some stadium destroyed by Allied bombers back in 1944. So you claim a spot on a hard wooden bench at random, and you sit on your program to keep the larger splinters out of your butt. Even before the boxers appear, the crowd will be shouting and screaming and waving their arms. The yelling is in reference to the projected odds of the first fight. The arm waving is aimed at the mosquitoes that are drawn to the oceans of blood spilled at these events. Soon the first pair of gladiators are led out into the ring by their piliang, which translates as nanny or nursemaid. At this point, the band kicks in. The orchestra at a Thai boxing match consists of 3 very ancient and venerable men playing even older instruments: drums, cymbals, and flute. Their job is to provide a noise like a train wreck, only louder and more prolonged. The boxers begin a series of semi-graceful movements designed to pay homage to their dance teachers. They circle the ring, dipping and bowing, posturing and posing, making obeisance to the 4 cardinal points of the compass, the 4 primary elements, and the 4 Marx Brothers. After they've exhausted themselves this way, they're given a rest period during which the crowd commences betting. This activity is illegal, so everybody does it surreptitiously, by waving handfuls of money in the air and screaming out their bets at the tops of their lungs. A few bet on the outcome of the fight, but most bet on which fighter will be the first to jump the top rope and begin beating the hell out of the orchestra. Eventually, the 2 combatants are brought to the center of the ring, and the referee explains the rule. There is only one rule in Thai boxing: you cannot poke the other guy in the eye. Since people who make their livings this way can't be too bright, they are made to wear thickly padded gloves in case they forget the rule. The fighters return to their corners, do some more stylized praying and bowing, and get a few last-minute good luck tattoos applied by their coaches. The band wheezes up to a squeaky crescendo, the gong sounds, and the fight is on. A Thai boxer's uniform consists of a pair of polyester trunks that go from his ribs to his knees in any of a large assortment of unattractive colors. The trunks are so large because they need to accommodate a lot of advertisements sold by the promoters to a wide range of products. Most of the products will be in the healthcare field, as befits an athletic event, like tobacco and alcohol. The size of the trunks and the weight of the appliqued corporate logos will dictate a fighter's style. Some fight with one hand and hold up their trunks with the other. Some prefer to throw a flurry of blows with both hands and then back off and pull up their trunks. In Thai boxing, you're allowed to hit your opponent with anything except patio furniture. So there's a lot of kicking, elbowing, kneeing, and butting with the head. Betting continues until the last round, or until one of the fighters, or a farang in the audience, attacks the band. A win is achieved by knockout, or by points awarded by a panel of judges. All of the judges are blind but one. This makes bribery much easier. Points are calculated on an arcane system of judgment based on form, technique, and how long a boxer lets his trunks slip down before pulling them back up. When a victor is announced, both fighters raise their hands in triumph, strut around the ring, bowing to the people who bet on them, and fall into each other's arms like brothers, instead of like two guys who just spent 15 minutes beating the crap out of each other. Excuse me. They stumble out of the ring and into an ambulance, and everyone throws peanut shells at the band until the next pair of boxers appears. An evening of Thai boxing goes on as long as there are still pairs of contestants willing to listen to the squeaking and squawking of the orchestra. They're carefully paired by height, weight, and tattoos. While Western boxing ranks fighters by bantamweight, lightweight, heavyweight, etc., a Thai boxer will fight in the stubby little guys with salamanders on their forearms class, or the wiry little guys with monkeys on their backs, really skinny little guys with tigers on their tummies, etc., etc., etc. The bands are ranked too by titles like terrible, abysmal, and simply awful. While I don't enjoy Muay Thai myself, I don't begrudge Barry his infatuation with the sport. On the last Monday of every January, I wake up at 4:30 a.m. to watch the American Super Bowl, a game that Aussies like Barry say is for Seppo wimps. Imagine players being paid up to $10,000 each to play perhaps 10 minutes of a game where they're allowed to wear more protective gear than plutonium miners. I agree with him on that point, at least. It takes a lot of guts to climb into the ring wearing nothing but a pair of gaudy bloomers and face the music. The end. Hope you liked it. That's 22 minutes. Again, I'm going to try to find Putling Tai Dai Mai. This show used to be a variety show format. I used to do skits, and this is one of the skits. It's from 2 years ago, so maybe you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, maybe you'll see it again. Who knows? And I might show you the two turtles. I've got two turtles. I've been working on them for 2 months, and they're all finished except for their faces, the most important part, the hardest part. I have bought every tube of latex acrylic bathroom caulk in Thai Muang and Koh Kloi. There's tons of silicone left, but I don't like silicone. Silicone doesn't work as well. So I got to wait for the big Ziploc truck to get here from Bangkok to the hardware stores and replenish their tubes of bathroom caulk before I can finish these two. And I've got the next two projects in mind. I know what I want to do. I have the trash picked out. I'm going to do a steampunk turtle for one of the coffee shops here. It's a very trendy, Makai it's called. And it's all decorated with action figures and superheroes and stuff like that. Godzilla's, he loves Godzilla. I'm going to make him, for out in the reflection garden, meditation garden, I'm going to make him a steampunk sea turtle with trash off the beach. Yeah. But anyway, I may show you that. If not, have a wonderful week. I very much appreciate your time and your attention. This is the most important time of the week for me. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, give me a share, leave a comment, and have a terrific week. I'll see you in 7 days. I have used every single tube of latex acrylic sealant, or bathroom caulk, in Thai Muang and Kok Kloi, and 1 tube of much inferior silicone sealant. All I have left to do is the face of this guy, and he's for Steve. He's going outside my house, thus the branding. And this guy will be a present for the lady who sells me my cigarettes. And his face, he's pretty much done. I need to hit him with a couple more coats of polyurethane. But his face was done with the silicone rather than the latex. And it blends okay. They're both bright white, and you can't tell the difference. But it takes much longer to dry, and it doesn't manipulate as well as the latex. But that's where we are. I've got 2 projects near completion. I've just run out of materials. And I would have shown you, if I'd have thought of it, my next project. But anyway, there's that.
ขอโทษครับไม่ทราบว่าไปรษณีย์อยู่ทางไหนครับ
ทางนี้เลยเนี่ยไปทางนี้ไปถึง3 แยกแล้วเลี้ยวซ้ายเสร็จแล้วก็ไปถึงศาลเจ้าเลี้ยวขวาถึงไปรษณีย์เลยง่ายๆค่ะ
ขอโทษครับไม่ทราบว่าไปรษณีย์อยู่ทางไหนครับ
สตีฟไปรษณีย์ไปทางนี้ค่ะแล้วก็เลี้ยวขวาแล้วก็เลี้ยวซ้ายไปถึง4 แยกคุณก็เลี้ยวขวาอีกทีก็ถึงค่ะ
ขอโทษครับไม่ทราบว่าไปรษณีย์อยู่ทางไหนครับ
กูชวนไปทางไหน
ไปทางนี้ทางเลยวัดตาไตรไปไปออหน้าศาลเจ้าไปศาลเจ้าไปเรื่อยๆถูกไหม
เดี๋ยวต้องไปทางนี้เราถัดเองกูครบ
กูครบเลย
นะ
นั่นแหละไปทางนู้นออหน้าศาลเจ้าเดี๋ยวก็เลี้ยวขวานั่นแหละเดี๋ยวขวาประมาณ500 เมตร
แล้วถ้าไปทางนี้มันรถไม่มาไปพันลาดมันดีกว่าไหม
ไม่ดีทางนี้เลยเรื่องน้ำมัน
ปวดหัวขอโทษครับไม่ทราบว่าไปรษณีย์อยู่ทางไหนครับ
นานไปนะเลี้ยวขวาแล้วก็ตรงไป20 เมตรนี่ก็เลี้ยวซ้ายแล้วก็ตรงไป10 เมตรเลี้ยวซ้ายอีกทีนึงแล้วก็ถึงเลย
ไม่ใช่เนาะไปทางนี้ไปทางขวานี่ทางขวาทางซ้ายทางซ้ายแล้วก็ตรงไปเลยเลี้ยวขวาแล้วก็ถึงเลย
มัวเร็ว
ทางหรือว่าทางนี้มัว
แต่บอกทางไหนไปทางนี้
เอาไปทางนี้
โอ้เร็วจบ
พอแล้ว
Hans, oh Hans, my brother, please tell me, where is the post office?
Hi Steve, เดี๋ยวไปแถวนี้ไปเร็วกว่าถึงตลาดเลี้ยวซ้ายก็ต้องไปเรื่อยถึงจะถึง4 แยกข้างหน้าเร็วก็ไปเร็วกว่าอีกทีนึงแล้วก็ถึง
พอแล้ว Thank you.
Whatever shaves your sheep, whatever bakes your lamb, whatever digs your peat, whatever smokes your ham, whatever blows your nose, whatever chews your bone, whatever squirts your hose, whatever sings your song, do it often but do it well. Nobody knows and there's no way to tell. When you're riding, shoot down to that damn door.